Okay, today we're going to learn about an emergency thing to do in case it gets terribly cold at night. It's 100 miles. And if you get dehydrated, terribly cold is 50 and damp. Okay, so this is a Mylar blanket, a little cheap little one. And there's really no way to keep walking and wrap it around yourself. Not very effectively. And they tear really easily, as we're going to see when I take it out. So I'm going to teach you something to do that is so portable and so light that you can put it in the bottom of your pack and keep it with you at all times. I actually do, unless... I didn't have one at Scout because the expected overnight low was 73 degrees. That doesn't really require emergency measures for dealing with cold. So you take the little thing in the bag, the Mylar rescue blanket. Okay, so you take the Mylar blanket, throw that away, and you got to get it all unfolded. We're not even using a tripod today. You got to do this carefully because they will actually sometimes stick to themselves and tear. If you have one that came with your hydration pack, I have to stop so you can hear me. Then you can't trust it at all. They stick to themselves and tear really easily. Especially the ones that come with Salomon hydration packs. But most of the freebie ones are going to tear. They've been packaged for too long. You can kind of see how this is trying to stick to itself. If I was outside in wind and rain trying to open this, it would end up torn. I would need to be in an aid station, and if you're in the aid station, you're not having a cold emergency. So, yeah, it's sticking to itself. It's going to be okay if it tears, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. There's a tear. So if you expect that you're going to save your life by taking this out and wrapping it around yourself, you're probably wrong. There's my Mylar blanket. There's another tear. It's not going to matter. That's going to be the side that goes then. But yeah, so you want to be careful, and you can always tape a tear shut. But I want to keep enough blanket for my project. There we are. And now you guys understand why it's important to have opened it before, because sometimes tears like this will happen all down the middle. Your blanket will literally be in shreds and completely useless by the time you get it open. And additionally, how are you going to hold it on yourself and run? They tear, they shred apart on everything, and you can't actually jog. So we're not going to rely on wrapping ourselves in this. That's just silly unless you're sitting somewhere that has good wind cover and where you can actually wrap in it. And that's if it doesn't shred. This is a jacket. This is the most important part of your kit. This is a very thin, lightweight. This is Outdoor Research Helium. But even if this was just an ultralight, any of the ultralight jackets that aren't even truly waterproof, it still blocks a lot of wind. And more importantly, it's going to hold this onto you. But instead of just wrapping it over shoulders, I'm going to show you how to make something. And again, this is not fancy equipment. I do know that there are companies that make ponchos with hoods and everything. They package up yay big. No one carries them all the time. People put them in drop bags. People put them other places. They put them in cars. It's great for your car. This is for something so little and the weight of less than a gel so that you will actually carry it with you at all times when it's cold out, or might be. Okay, so about shoulder width and then a little. So there's just over my shoulder there. There's just over my shoulder there. I'm going to put an extra little bit just in case. So that's that fold there. So now, I'm going to cut it to width. That's why it didn't matter that one side tore. Got to keep track of the fold that I'm on. Let's all watch as I cut messily. Alright, so now I have a whole bunch of extra blanket, because here's about my shoulder width plus about 6 inches on either side. I made one of these myself when I got kind of hypothermic. I think last time Orcas Island 100 actually ran, there was some sideways wind and a sudden huge temperature crash, and I had on an old raid jacket, the integrity of which was very damaged, and I got completely soaked, and it was suddenly below 40 degrees, and I was soaked through everything, and also low on calories. Not horribly, I had a floor, but not in an optimal state. So I went in aid, and I was way too shivery to go back out for a little bit. So I dried a wool layer, and since my jacket was leaky and it was still a sideways downpour, I actually took my Mylar and made one of these and learned kind of by doing with the help of someone in the aid station. And it worked so well and kept me so warm as I finished out the race that I thought, as light as that is, I should carry one. Okay, so this is going to ultimately be a poncho. Notice that it's a little bit long on me. You can tuck them in some, but So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out, let's see, I'd like it to come, it's actually kind of good if it covers the top of your thighs. A little extra isn't bad. I've tucked these into a pair of shorts before. You don't want it real long though, because it's just too much and it snags on things and tears more easily. So let's see. It's gonna lose a little length as it goes over my shoulders. So that looks pretty good. That's enough. You want to leave it a little long, and I can always cut it back later. So I'll lie it back down. But I do want to make sure that it actually goes over my belly here, so that it sticks out under my jacket and can even be stuck into whatever layer you have on here. So you've got Mylar to here. Because you don't want to just cover your rib cage. The goal is to actually have all of your internal organs covered, and even potentially your delicates. Feels real weird if it gets in your delicates. I had too much extra one time. Anyway, man, this saved my butt. I fell asleep in some needles. I got, Oregon Cascades. The stretch was longer, and I hadn't slept well the night before with all the travel, and I just fell right to sleep. I'll cut it a little long here. I was leaning on a tree, and the next runner woke me up, and I just was so dazed. I was having trouble seeing the rocks, and I could see that the rocks dropped off on one side, and I decided to just have one of these high caffeine gels. But it was chilly. It was way too chilly for holding still, so I put one of these on, and then put my jacket over it, zipped it up, put the hood up, fell asleep in the pine needles under a tree. Woke up, still warm. I don't know how long later. I'm going to guess 10 or 15 minutes. You always want to put in that caffeine before you go to sleep. So now I'm going to make a head hole. They don't have to be quite as big as you're thinking. So see, this is now pretty little. So let's say I'm going to count in the squares so I get it centered. 2, 3. So there's the middle. So I'm just going to pick these middle squares here. And I'm going to cut just a little bit past those squares. Yes, I know it's not a pretty cut. Don't worry. We'll address that. Now I'm going to make sure it fits over my head, because I don't want to reinforce it until I know it does. Yeah, that goes comfortably over my head. Here's the thing about this head hole. This head hole is going to tear. It's going to tear. And I mean, if I was in a mountain race where I wasn't sure when I'd get somewhere, I might actually wait till I was at aid to gently take one of these off and re-roll it. Now, so that you don't have to watch, we're going to do like on a cooking show. This is one rolled up and put in a bag for carrying. I actually put it back in the bag it came in, if you don't want to do that. This is my empty bag, snack size Ziploc, portion control Ziploc, or the bag it came in. This is one already made. I can take it out of the bag, unroll it, unfold it. And because even though it's been in this bag for, I don't know, October probably is the last time this got carried, probably at no business. You just never know when rain will hit. And you never know when you'll get delayed and not get to your drop bag when you thought you would and not get that layer. It didn't get used then. And so this, you'll see I can pull apart a lot more quickly and aggressively without tears. Now see this head hole? This head hole, it's not tearing when I put this on, because this head hole has been reinforced with Scotch tape. Here's the Scotch tape. So when you reinforce your head hole, you take a length of Scotch tape, about that yay much, and you put it on like that, and then you just fold it over. And then you get the next piece, and you make sure that they overlap each other. Right? Where the corners are, you use little short pieces to come around the corner, but you want to make sure that you have overlapping reinforcement. Otherwise, the point that isn't reinforced where you cut your head hole, it absolutely will tear on you when you try to take it out of your bag. And then it will be in tatters and it won't work. So now we're going to look at what you actually do to wear one. Oh, I guess I can model it. I was going to make Carmel do this, but I'm going to model it, even though I have a video on. So here I go. I put it on me. And I wonder if the side matters.
I was already getting into character and everything.
No, they're both shiny. Okay, so I take it, and I put it over my head. And this is where also the reinforcement helps. Because if I had a hat on, just like I have the hoodie on, it's going to fit tighter than when I tried it on, make a little extra space. Always double check fit after you tape, because you can always cut more. So we put it on like this. I've taken my pack off. Take your pack off. Put your jacket on like this. Take the back part and stick it in your shorts. I know I look so super cool. Look, it's ultra running. It's not even about that. So I take it and I stick it in my shorts like this.
You're gonna have to beat the ladies and or gentlemen collars off with a stick.
And then I stick the front down like this. Shorts, pants, doesn't matter. I try to get it wrapped a little bit around my torso if I can. You know, try to get under your arms, but just get it on. And I take this and I zip it up like this. Now if I start doing jumping jacks in oh, I'm already warm. If I start moving around in this in my house right now, where it's 65 degrees, because we turned off the heat for the video. Actually, it's probably still 68. We leave it set at 68. I make cool sounds when I run.
I was gonna say, but they're gonna hear you coming.
Extremely fast. I can already feel the warmth from it.
You don't have to worry about startling anybody. Sneaking up like a
ninja.
ninja.
To have a jacket. If you have no jacket, you can pin it to you to a degree with your vest. So it's probably still worth having one. But because you could still put it over you, tuck it into your shorts, and put your race vest on, and it's still going to provide some help. But if you are actually expecting that for any reason it's going to get below 50 at night, it's a good idea to have a jacket. I'll carry it no matter what, though, even if I didn't have a jacket on me. But mountains, ultralight jacket with the hood, at least a jacket, and one of these can save your butt. Because if you get to that aid station and you can't stop shivering on purpose and they have any medical knowledge, they're not going to let you leave. They're going to keep you there because you've started losing core body temperature and you could die.
You look like you should have a sword right now. I think you should for effect. Hold on.
What you want to do next is get your sword out and fight. This is my sword. I won it. It was a race prize, actually. But Carmel just wants a picture of me with a sword. So I can put...
Defend you, my lady. That's pretty fantastic.
What?
All right, I'm sorry. I interrupted. Was there anything else you wanted to say about your...
This is my sword that I won for bench pressing more than everybody else at a 50 miler.
Including the men, right?
You know what? I think I out-repped them, but they had a different weight. But I did do the most reps of everyone. But they got a much heavier weight than the women's weight. The women's bench press. I don't even remember what it was. It was probably like 70 pounds for girls. It was so great. Oh, how much can you do in a row without stopping? A 50-mile finish line. It used to be a contest. It no longer exists. Some RD somewhere should bring that back. Yep. Okay. So that's all. You can have your sword back. My sword. Your sword.
So Lee said she was going to make me an emergency Mylar poncho, and I was like, I don't want one. And she's like, it's 135 miles in 2 nights, and you might get cold, or you might want to sleep on the ground. And so she made me one anyway, but it's so tiny and cute that I might actually use it. I'll probably actually keep it on me the whole time. It is palm size. She rolled it up really tight, and then she took a portion control Ziploc bag and she actually cut it in half and then used packaging tape to tape the bottom together to make like a really tiny little bag. So this is seriously like just about the size of a gel.
And it buys you 20 degrees of extra temperature tolerance.
Oh, and it buys you 20 degrees of extra temperature tolerance.
Before you actually get real hypothermia and embarrass yourself with an emergency room trip.
So I don't embarrass myself on an emergency room trip when I'm running 135 miles.
Would be if one of us got hospitalized from a race while we're trying to
That would be embarrassing, but it's not going to happen because I have my emergency Mylar poncho. So I'll just keep it in my little vest pocket, like right there, or probably in the back.
2 people got taken off the cloud splitter course to the emergency room because hypothermia that would have been saved by one of these.
Really?
And remember that girl you gave your tights to? Yeah, I watched one of them get evac by ambulance.
I did.
On that loop. You remember all the creek crossings?
That's right. Some girl,
A girl fell in the creek when it was in the 40s.
Yeah,
and didn't have any way to get warm. She didn't have anything like this. Her jacket was leaking and she couldn't get warm.
Was there another one that fell in the creek, or you're talking about the one that...
there was somebody else that just got sweaty wet and didn't have enough layers.
Oh yeah, there was a girl who fell in the creek, and I gave her my, my tights.
Multiple people fell in that creek. I watched a guy fall in the creek. He DNF'd over other stuff though.
Well, anyway, it's not happening to me. Because emergency Mylar poncho. And I'll probably put it, in the back of my vest. I like to keep the things that like I use a lot more in the front. So I'll probably have it in the back. And it's barely any weight at all.
I might put it in the special zipper pocket for headlamps.
Yeah, that's where my special headlamp zipper pocket in the back. That's where it's going to go. And that way it's just on me the whole time. I'm not even going to know it's there because it is actually super, super light. And she got it somehow even tinier this time. So